Yes, more of my favorite. Uh, Report of investigation, page 1 of 6. Program code, Smuggling Task Force, GFCE 84001, file number CE85X002, identifier EGIM1, EG1MI. Title Frank Lepere et al. Date prepared June 17, 1985. Preliminary debriefing of David Wirkala. David Wirkala has provided information as an accomplice witness to 3 successful or attempted drug smuggling incidents in Maine as follows. Incident 1, the attempted offloading of marijuana at Clark Island in 1979, file CC 832006. Incident 2, successful offloading of marijuana in early 1980 in Bremen, Maine, CE85X002. Incident 3, the successful offloading of hashish in 1980 on Gross Neck in Waldboro, Maine, GFCE 8804001. Details. Special Agent Michael A. Cuniff interviewed Wirkala on 6/17/85 in Yarmouth, Maine, concerning his knowledge of criminal activity. This report comprises Special Agent Cuniff's impressions of those interviews, which the cooperating individual has had no opportunity to review. Incident 1, Bremen, Maine, CC 83Z006, 1979. Wirkala worked as a shore engineer on the F.W. Howe for Robert Kenny in 1979. One day during that period, Kenny asked Wirkala whether he was willing to act as a lookout during a marijuana offloading in Maine. The CI agreed. Kenny mentioned money, but the CI does not recall the details. On the night of the expected offload, someone picked up Wirkala, possibly in Clark Island area, Maine. The Wirkala saw Robert Kenny and possibly another male, no further description, at some point. Someone, possibly Kenny, gave Wirkala a portable radio. Wirkala took up a position near the main roadway in the vicinity of Clark Island, Maine loading, looking for police or other intruders. Wirkala remained in position all night, after which 4 men in a station wagon picked him up. One of the men told Wirkala that the boat did not arrive. They dropped Wirkala at a convenience store near Rockland, Maine vicinity, at which time Wirkala went home. At some point, Kenny paid Wirkala roughly a couple $100 someplace in Maine. Incident 2, Bremen, Maine. CE 85 X002, 1980. At some point in or around early 1980, Robert Kenny introduced Wirkala to Timothy Grigg, another drug smuggler. Either Grigg or Kenny asked Wirkala whether in Maine to take a boat to an island off the north coast of South America, whether he was to pick up a load of marijuana and transport it to Maine for offloading. The Wirkala was promised a fee of $120,000. Wirkala accepted the job. Kenny or Grigg sent Wirkala by commercial airline to Santa Marta, Colombia, to pick up a boat with a shipment of marijuana and bring it to the Lusty Lobster Pier in Bremen, Maine, aka TK, Thomas Kavanaugh, and various Colombians in Santa Marta. Kavanaugh was in charge of putting the load together. TK, Dave's not here, and Wirkala stayed in an apartment hotel that was located near the coast for a couple weeks, but the shipment fell through and Wirkala returned to Maine. Later, Douglas Anderson, Tim Grigg, Wirkala, Knight, last name Barton, and possibly two other men went to Columbia City, to Panama City, Florida, in order to purchase the FV Mary Ann O in connection with the deal. The boat was fueled and provisioned after the purchase was completed, at which time Wirkala, Russell O'Done, and Billy, last name unknown, brought it to Key West, where the boat was tied up at the Quail Wall for 2 or 3 days while a new generator was installed. Wirkala had money on board the boat for expenses but did not recall who provided it. The FV Mary Ann O departed Key West after the new generator was installed and proceeded to rendezvous off the coast of Colombia, passing by the east end of Cuba with a southern rigged shrimp boat with a white wooden hull, which was crewed by Dave's not here, and a group of Hispanic men. An undetermined amount of marijuana bales wrapped in burlap and plastic was transferred from the shrimp boat to the FV Mary Ann O. Last name unknown, BJ or JB, an English-speaking black Colombian male, was taken aboard the FV Mary Ann O from the shrimp boat as well, after which the Mary Ann O headed for Bremen. Bill, last name unknown, broke his leg en route during the stormy weather. A splint was applied and he spent the rest of the trip in his rack. Mary Ann O's radio antennas, possibly for an HF SSB transceiver, was also broken in the storm, preventing radio communication with the land crew. The crew attempted to keep the original schedule that had been planned for this trip. One of the crew sent a message to the land crew via marine radiophone operator when they were closer to Maine. The Mary Ann O took on the preacher, Pryor, or the Reverend Pryor, believed to be Franklin Pryor, and a rendezvous on the coast of Maine. Pryor piloted the boat into the Lusty Lobster Pier at Bremen, where the marijuana was offloaded. Wirkala saw Bill Kenny and 8 or 12 other men at the offload site. Bill, last name unknown, and the black Colombian male got off the Marianne O at the Lusty Lobster Pier. Wirkala, Richard Russell O'Done, and 2 of Kenny's men took the Marianne O to Gloucester, Massachusetts. The boat was cleaned of marijuana debris. While en route, Kenny's men disembarked at Gloucester. Wirkala and O'Done left the Marianne O at a dock where Wirkala used to work, which is located near the Free Lantern Marine Exchange. Someone, possibly Robert Kenny, paid Wirkala $50,000. Wirkala learned that the marijuana load was ripped off in some fashion. Wirkala became very friendly with Tim Grigg after the aforementioned marijuana deal. Wirkala also met with T.K. Thomas Kavanaugh in Maine at least a few times. Sometime in or about 1980, Grigg, Robert Kenny, and Kavanaugh asked Wirkala whether he would take the Marianne O to the Azores, where he would pick up a shipment of hashish from another boat and bring it back to Maine for offloading. Wirkala agreed. Wirkala was promised a fee of $200,000 in cash. At some point, Wirkala, Russell O'Done, and Bill, last name unknown, not the same one as in the previous deal, departed New London, Connecticut, aboard the Marianne O bound for the Azores. Someone, possibly Grigg, gave Wirkala coordinates for a rendezvous with the hashish boat. Marianne O was also equipped with a SSB radio. Alabama was the code for the radio base operator, who may have been located in the southern United States. Marianne O proceeded without incident to the Azores, where they made a rendezvous with the old minesweeper, which was crewed by 2 black men and some Caucasian men. An indeterminate amount of hashish packed in metal tins was transferred from the minesweeper to the Marianne O. The Marianne O proceeded without incident directly to Maine, where it was met in Muscoggas Bay by Robert Kenny in a speedboat. The Marianne O went to another location in Maine where the hashish shipment was transferred to smaller boats. Wirkala and the other crew took the Marianne to Gloucester or New Bedford. Either T.K. Kavanaugh or Grigg made arrangements for Wirkala to be paid in hash instead of money. A man from the western United States delivered about 1,000 pounds of hashish to Wirkala in the Boston area in a blue truck, possibly a Ford. Dave's not here. Introduced Wirkala to last name unknown, first name unknown, gray hair, medium build, 30s to 40s, first name unknown, from Gloucester, Massachusetts. At the outset, the agreed price was around $245 a pound. First name, last name unknown, was slow with his payments. He paid the Wirkala a total of roughly 20,000 pounds, which was not the full payment. Wirkala advised that he never got involved with drugs again. Wirkala has remained friendly with Tim Griggs. Sometime in or around 883, Robert Kenny contacted Wirkala in Maine by telephone. Kenny asked for Wirkala for $80,000 in cash, indicating that he would become a government witness against Wirkala if he did not pay the money. Wirkala told Kenny that he would talk about Kenny's request. Kenny got in touch with Craig, after which Greg and Wirkala met with Kenny in Rockland, Maine, possibly in the vicinity of the Black Pearl restaurant. Kenny told them that he needed money for legal expenses and that he would go to the public if he could not get the money from Craig and Wirkala. Kenny did not tell them that he would lie to the police about Craig and CI, but rather that he would confess, which would implicate Greg and Wirkala. Greg and Wirkala told Kenny that he would talk about giving him some money. Wirkala and Greg decided not to pay Kenny, at least partly because Wirkala was convinced Kenny had exaggerated the amount of his illegal expenses. Non-drug intelligent information. Wirkala advised Special Agent Cuniff that he did not possess any non-drug intelligent conversation. Indexing. Knight, Bartlow, Timothy Grigg. First name, last name, Dave's not here. First name, last name, JB or BJ. Robert Kenny. Bill, last name unknown. Bill, last name unknown. Russell Odone. Franklin Pryor.